Got a nice little 154 for you today. Look who we got with us.
How y'all doing?
Got Jeff with us running. This is a little build I did for him. He wanted me to ask me if I'd do it for him, and I've been wanting to port one of these class of saws for a while now, and I ended up selling mine, so I didn't have one to work with anymore. But this old girl is in pretty good shape to be a 1984 model. Right now, the muffler is pretty well stocked. We've got the vents bent out a little bit more on it, as you can see, if you can.
Yeah, and it's on a factory chain too.
Factory ground chain, pine, but we're just out here playing and putting some time on it. The saw does need clutch springs right now, so the chain does tend to try to spin, but we're being safe about it. We're not really moving around a whole lot. We're kind of just staying in one spot. As you can see,
I will get it fixed before I start using it.
Making a whole lot of consecutive cuts here, but we're just out here testing it because we built it. It's been done for over a week now. We've been wanting to get out here and play with it and see how it's going to do. So without further ado, we're gonna fire it up and do it. And as you already seen, we've already made a good many cuts with it. We've done burned almost a tank of gas, and we're gonna fire it back up and try it. So this saw is already warmed up, and it is quite hot today. It's like 90 something degrees, hence why we're under the canopy today, because it is hot.
Yeah, we're still sweating.
It's not so bad under here. It's just tolerable under here, but that's the reason why we're in pine, and that's the reason why we are where we are. But we're at Bellhoppers, as you can see, and way out here we got a couple more saws we've been trying out, but 660 didn't really work out very well. It's kind of a hodgepodge of whatever, a lot of Chinese parts, some OEM parts, and the saw has really been abused, so we're trying to save it. But we made a few cuts with it. It's the one that I rebuilt for a family member of Jeff's, and we've been trying to get her straightened out, but it just keeps throwing curveballs and curveballs. The running part's not bad, but it's a lot of little stupid issues like the throttle linkage acting up and other stuff. But and he's got his 385 with him. He's trying it out that he got. But anyway, we're gonna get it fired up here, and everybody gets to see Jeff run saws today, not me. You might get to see me run some, but here we go.
I like it very much.
Yeah,
I'm pleased with it.
He's cutting through a knot there at one section, I believe.
Yeah, there's a big knot.
Like I say,
Here.
right in there somewhere, but we're running stock chain, so it's not too aggressive, but
it could do with a little sharper chain.
We don't try to get him too aggressive for Jeffy because his balance ain't too good. So if we get him too aggressive, it tends to snatch him across the log.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
He's only about $1.60, and like I say, his balance ain't that good. So we try to keep the chains pretty manageable. Saw holds an RPM nice, and it's got a good amount of torque. Chain is sharp. It is throwing chips, and I know this is pine, like we say, so it's not real hard. But the pine's fun because you can make a lot of cuts, and it's not so rough on the chain. You can get a lot more cuts just when you're just out here playing and putting time on saws. You really can get a lot more cuts, consecutive cuts, because typically we'll be out here cutting, playing with a saw until the chain gets to where it don't cut. Yeah. We stop within reason, of course. We don't let them get too terribly bad.
I do want to run it in hardwood just to see.
We might zip over and stick it in a piece.
What it'll do.
We might zip over and stick in a piece of hardwood just for the video here in a few minutes and see how it does. Since we're out here running it, we do have options of hardwood. We do have some oak that we can run it in. But you want to fire up the 385 and give them a little visual. There ain't nothing done to this other than a muffler mod. It's completely stock. He's got his 24-inch lightweight blower that he got from us on it. And
yeah, this is my big saw.
This is just big saw. He always says he don't need anything any bigger.
No, if I need it any bigger, Andrew's got it.
Yeah, because I've got all the way up to a 3120 and a 394 now that nobody's seen yet, so it'll be coming soon.
Which I really want one of, but I don't really need. So.
But
that's the big girl. Jeff's out of shape, so you'll have to excuse me, it wears me out. But I still do enjoy running, and I do use big saws.
Kenny, if you're watching, there you go, bud. You got to see Jeff in action there a little bit. He wanted to, as part of this was his idea, because he wanted to show some of his saws off, and he's had some requests for people wanting to see him run saws in particular, so we got him out here running some today. But
yep, and when we get some more jobs, we'll try to do some filming on some jobs. It's hard to film and work at the same time.
Yeah, it gets a little difficult because you forget to set, you start something and then you get busy and then you forget to set the camera back up or whatever.
We're always either sawing or moving wood or both or
on tractor or whatever. It gets difficult, but.
And right now I really wouldn't want to do any of that because I'd have to wear my chainsaw chaps. And right now in this heat,
it's terrible.
It's rough.
It's terrible.
I usually don't run saws without them, but it's hot, so we're just being extra cautious.
Yep.
And careful.
Not doing a whole lot of moving around, even though chain can still break or come off, but we try to check our tensions every time we stop. So that's part of it, guys. That's part of it. Just making sure that everything's kosher, everything's good, everything's happy. But There's a little video. I know it's been a little while since we made something, but we just ain't had a whole lot to film lately. Nothing's really went exactly right. I was gonna do some filming on the 660, but it fought me the whole entire time I was trying to put it together. Normally we don't have that much trouble with a build. The 394 had some case issues with it after we tore it down and got it inspected, and that's why we haven't had no more videos yet. The saw runs fine. It's ported. Nothing went wrong there. Everything went fine. Saw fires up and runs. But I don't know what it is. 394s, 395s, people are just really rough on them. And a lot of times bolt holes get stripped out and things just get beat and abused on them old saws because they're logging saws, and that's kind of what happened to this one. Somebody screwed up the pull starter case half, the left side case half of the saw. The holes are pretty boogered up, so I've been trying to get Bellhopper to do a little bit of machining and get it squared away. He just ain't had the time, but if we get a chance, we might get that fixed and squared away and maybe get some video of it. But that's a little update. This ain't the greatest video in the world, but we figured we'd come on here and show you a little something today and update you on some things about what's been going on. Work's been picking up a little bit, so we're gracious for that, for those that want to know and those that ask and follow what we do. But we're gracious for that. So
we've been sweating a lot.
Sweating a lot, yeah. Drinking, I think we've been drinking probably, with the amount of ice we have, we've probably been drinking close to 4 gallons of water a day between the both of us.
Yeah. Something like that.
Because we buy 2 gallons of water, put it in a 5-gallon cooler, and then we buy 16 pounds of ice, and it gradually melts. So, you know, you do a little bit of math there, and 16 pounds of ice makes a good bit of water. So we do a good bit of drinking. But
if any of you have anything to ask or anything at all, I'm not bashful.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And I'll answer anybody's question.
Yep, it's not every day you see a feller running a chainsaw that's got CP or cerebral palsy, for those that don't know what that is. But yeah, he likes to get out and enjoy it and do things, and he likes the high performance saw. So he's got a couple ported saws. He's got what, 2 that I've done?
Yeah.
I think you've got 2 that I've done, and I think he's got 2 that Bellhopper's done.
Yeah, one of them you guys really like is the 543.
Yeah, that was the one Bellhopper did. That saw turned out quite well. I think we're going to go back into that one there and open up the muffler just a little bit on it, and we might come back out and do a little comparison video, maybe with a little bit better chain and the muffler opened up.
Yeah, I think so. I think the chain,
because we just did that one. I mean,
a little bit of,
the port work turned out really nice on that saw, but it's not. I think the muffler's holding it back a good bit because the amount of port work that is in that saw. I mean, I spent probably 2.5 hours grinding on it.
Yeah.
And everything. It's got a good bit of work done to it because he wanted it to be pretty hot, and we made it pretty hot, but we tried to keep torque in mind as we were doing it. That's what I try to do, is try to keep the torque factor in mind on them. Try to maintain some torque.
Yeah, because what it's going to be a work saw.
Just a work
like
fire.
When we go to do stuff like this size.
Work, firewood, whatever may be. But yeah, we'll get the muffler modded on it where it can breathe a little better. I think it'll do a lot better once that's done.
I'm happy with it.
For those that don't know, if you're not familiar with these saws, because I know the 154 is quite a bit older. It's a 154 SE. The SE is basically it's basically an XP saw, because the SE, that's what Husqvarna branded their professional saws as before the XP trademark came out, before they started doing that. So this saw right here, being made in '84, you know, Husqvarna, a lot of their 70s and 80s, early 80s Huskies were SE saws. This is basically the same thing as a 254 SE, or a 254 SE or XP, whichever. Basically the same saw. There are some minor differences. The muffler's slightly different, but all the parts are interchangeable. The air filter's slightly different. This one has a different air filter than a 254. The air filter on this saw probably works a little better for performance on this sold saw right here.
Yeah, but it doesn't filter.
But it doesn't filter quite as well. So I told Jeff you might want to get him a 254 air filter for it, just for longevity reasons, since it is a work saw. But
and it's an old saw. But anybody that knows me knows I love stuff made in the 80s.
yeah, he's an 80s.
Absolutely love it.
Jeff's an 80s kid. So if you didn't know, Jeff's 31. So he's an 80s kid.
And Andrew did an outstanding job on it. Anybody who's got any apprehensions about letting him work on your saw, he does a really good job. And I'm not saying that because he's my friend, but I mean, it's the honest truth.
Yeah, I try to do them all right. This is a little muffler mod I did on his 385, showing it off. You can still see some of the flux on it, but Jeff don't really care. He said don't worry about them, because I offered to clean them up, but he always tells me don't worry about it.
Like, I use it for work. It's gonna get used. I'm not worried about it.
He had a 281 high top, basically a 288 that he got from me, and he was trying to find some parts, couldn't find some parts for it, and he ended up trading it off for this. It's 385, which is not a bad saw, but we had some issues with it when we first got it, and I spent a good bit of time messing with this old saw and found all the issues. I mean, it was just issue after issue, and they were just kind of covered up. When you have one issue, sometimes another issue don't show itself very well because of another issue, and so every time we fixed an issue, we just found another issue, and then we eventually got it worked out. It seems to be running pretty good. This is the first time it's really ever seen wood since he's had it.
Yeah, I'm gonna run it some more.
The feller that he got it from kind of lied to him about it and told him that it was a bunch of different stuff that it really wasn't, and he ended up kind of sort of getting shysted on the deal. So they just be careful out there if you're trading or buying used saws. Just be careful, because you never know what could happen. I mean, if you're not sure, try to find somebody that knows. Right. If you're buying saws, try to find.
I'm gonna run it a good bit and give it a fair shake.
Yeah. So far it's really doing good. This first tank of gas we're gonna put through it since he's had it. He put that, like I say, that new lightweight bar on it. But it's so far so good. We'll just keep doing, and we'll keep making little adjustments and trying different things, just playing around. We're not really in any hurry or anything per se, because we don't run them every day. He don't run his every day. We just use them for work when we can, and we'll play with them, pull them out. But anyway, I appreciate everybody watching. I know I've picked up a couple more subscribers, so thank you. Welcome. We had a little technical difficulty after we made the little pine clip. We found a little issue on the saw. It's nothing major, but we've been spending the last few minutes diagnosing it out here in the woods, finding it. But all it was a naked spot on the kill wire was causing it to break up, because we noticed it before. It wouldn't really do it while it was running before, but at high RPM it would sit there and kind of flutter, almost acted like it had a limited coil. And there's no way that the old saw has a limited coil on it, so we got to looking.
And you can hear it fluttering just a little bit every once in a while, but I think it's just that.
It sounded like it was four-stroking, but I don't think it was. I think it was the wire. The wire, because it's got a pretty good-sized naked spot on it, but we got our Jimmy rigged up now just so we could get out here and finish making a video on the hardwood. But we'll get that squared away and fix a few little other minor issues on the saw, because it's old. And Jeff really never really run this saw much before we ported it. So I always tell everybody, if you've got an old saw or something and you want it ported, and you know, you run it some and you don't run it a whole lot and you think that she's good to go, and then sometimes you port them. Porting them brings out all the problems, no matter what it is. It can bring out the mechanical or any issues that the saw may have. It'll definitely bring them out. So, because
the older saws, you just gotta be, you can't get upset if you have problems, because you're going to.
Yeah.
I mean, you just are.
It don't matter what brand. But anyway, it's nothing major. It's just a quick fix. Put a new wire on it. I would say we could just repair the wire, but the wire's old and it's got a little bit of what I call green death in there, which is corrosion. So we'll just end up putting a new wire in there, and he'll be squared away, and then probably modify the muffler. And I'd say he'll have a solid little saw that he can run and play with. But anyway, if you want to get him to run the 385, or I'll run the 385, whichever, put it in some hardwood and see how she does. You want to run it? I want you
to go ahead and run it. I'm wore out.
Come on, make one cut with it.
All right, I'll make a cut with it. We got something we can cut on over here.
Yeah. Oh, just getting a phone call.
Let's see, potential spam. We're gonna hit the button on them.
I love that the new smartphones do that stuff. I love that.
Probably somebody trying to sell me an extended warranty.
Yep.
For my truck.
Happens.
That's something we can cut on here.
Let's make a cut on that little oak. I know it's not very big, but it's about, as you can see, there ain't very much stuff we can get to without walking through the grass. Put it on a big piece. It might be.
Yeah, she's about out of fuel. That's why she's doing that. But it pulls good in the hardwood. Actually better in the hardwood, it feels like, than the pine.
Skip tooth does really good in hardwood, in my opinion. That's why we run a lot of skip tooth. It's not really to decrease the power, but just that hardwood, that stuff, especially the dry stuff, it's so hard. I find that if you can keep chain speed up, it just, I don't know, it just pulls. It does really well.
It does.
But anyway, there's you a couple little clips of both of them in both soft and hard wood. I know it's not the biggest wood in the world.
And I'll try to stop being lazy and run more saws on videos for y'all.
Yeah, we both need to. I need to do it too, but it's hard to balance life and playing with saws too sometimes. But I try to.
Wife. All that, any of you that are married understand that.
Yeah, Jeff's got a wife, and she don't let him come out to play very much, so he has to kind of suffer a little bit. I guess we could say.
I wouldn't call it suffer,
nah, it's a joke.
It's just life.
Yeah, life stuff. But anyway, there you go. Hopefully y'all enjoy, and as always, we appreciate you watching. Over and out.